So what should you include in your sales onboarding? Right now, imagine that you're tasked with getting your reps to quota, but how are you going to do it with all of these new reps that have started at your new organization? What content are you going to use? What training is going to help these reps ramp quickly? Now, every department wants a piece of a rep's mind share. You want sales ops wants to show them how to do everything. Marketing wants them to be on message. The sales leadership just wants them getting on the phone and starting to drive value. They've got finance wanting to make sure they're putting the contracts together correctly. Everyone wants a piece of the action. But how do you filter in and out what's going to be most important for the rep at the beginning of their journey at your organization? Imagine having a repeatable framework that you can use to onboard all of your new reps across every single role in a consistent fashion, that reps are getting up to speed and they're really learning the story of your organization quickly and can start messaging that to all of your forward-facing clients and prospects, and that cover all of the different departments and the cross-functional areas that are most important for reps to know at the beginning so that they can sell better. I remember once being at a conference and I got chatting with a sales leader who I respect immensely. And this leader had told me a story around a company that's onboarding was heavily focused on teaching reps all about the product. This is what our product does. These are all the bells and whistles. And the challenge when you really start focusing just on product only is that the second a rep gets on the phone or is in front of a customer, what do you think they're going to start talking about? They're going to start talking about just the product. They're going to start dumping features and forget about driving value. So part of this is going to be things around not just the product is important, but you don't want to start with the product only. So what we want to do now is actually give you a framework that'll give you an idea of things that you can do early in your onboarding to ensure A, your reps aren't doing a product dump when they speak to the first potential product. And then the second thing is that they're actually bringing value faster and learning how to do this on a consistent and regular basis. Okay, so let me walk you through a framework here. Oops, here we go. So it's a quadrant. We call it the Sales Onboarding Knowledge Blueprint. And the first box in this quadrant is not going to be what you think it is. It's actually not going to be product. The first one is the market. And what you want is the rep to understand the market that they're operating in. Who are the players in this market? What's the total addressable market? What's going on from your strategy perspective and even other players in the market to really have a sense of where they're playing. The second part of this is actually having customer knowledge. The reps need to understand the customer. It's amazing how many people could actually sell software or whatever product you sell without even understanding what the product does. If you understand the customer, why they bought, the problem they had, and how your product or offering has provided a solution and value to that, that will make reps far more set up for success as opposed to becoming a full-fledged expert in the product. So this includes things like personas. So who are the people you're talking to? Obviously understanding testimonials of customers that currently use your solution and really understanding how they got there. So both the problem they had at the beginning and then once using your solution, how that created business value. And a big part of this, we've recommended this in the past, is having call recordings. And in this way, you can hear the different language that customers use. You can have a real understanding of what the customers are actually saying and how they formulate it. Because when you start using their language, when talking about their scenarios, their problems, you're going to sound that much more respectable and valuable. Now, this is now we get into the third one, and this is where we've kind of started this all. This is product. So product is in the third quadrant here, and you need to still understand how to position the product based on the customer's situation. Now, that said, again, you don't have to be a product expert, but you need to understand some highlights. One of our favorite pieces is, say it in a demo as an example. It's so easy to show up and show everything that your product does, but what you really want to do is lead to the solution, not lead with your solution, understand the customer, their problem, and then lead to the parts of the product that solve the customer's challenge that they explained to you throughout the discussions you've had prior to that. So that would be in a great demo. Great demos are all around showing the pieces of your product that bring the customer value, as opposed to basically showing up and walking them through a training session of how to use every single bell and whistle. Definitely don't want to do that. And then the final piece here is the actual sales knowledge. Now, these are things like what process you have, the different methodology you may be attributing to, and it doesn't have to be one, it could be some type of combination of methodologies, but as long as you're staying consistent within how you're educating the reps on the sales knowledge, that's not a problem at all. And then of course, any types of tools that you're using to amplify efforts, be it prospecting or getting contracts done or whatever tools you're using, have them understand that. But probably one of the most important parts of this section here is having them understand the buyer journey. What are the things that a buyer is doing throughout this process such that you're really mapping to their decision-making criteria and ultimately mapping it to the problem that they need to solve. And that would be here, that would be doing great discovery calls, doing great prospecting. And one area there's really a lot more of an art to, and this comes more into the hiring piece of things, is you want your reps to have great business acumen. Asking great questions as part of this sales knowledge quadrant is going to be a massive contributor to having a great onboarding experience and ultimately getting reps to hitting those milestones faster. Many sales leaders will often start with a product dump or a sales process dump, saying here are the things that you need to do and need to know, but this can overwhelm reps very quickly, and then they'll end up creating bad habits right away, right off the bat, which is not what we want to see. When a rep knows too much about a product early, that can almost be dangerous if they don't understand the customer, because they're going to show up only talking about the product, which we definitely don't want to have. They'll default to a feature conversation instead of having a conversation of value. And this is something you need to emphasize very much at the right. So let's review. When you're building these onboarding programs, do not focus on product only. Make sure your reps have an amazing understanding of who your customer is and how they get value from your solution. The second thing is have a blueprint of all the different training and content that they require and which parts also to exclude. Part of that is not just what they need to know, but also focusing on what they shouldn't worry about knowing right up front. And lastly, do not do a product dump in your sales onboarding, because if you do that, all you're doing is creating people that are going to get on the phone and drive product dumps. Hope this was helpful. Feel free to add some comments below and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.